Hit like if you like the show. If you don't like the show, don't hit like or hit thumbs down. Be like, this guy sucks. I don't mind. But if you do like the show, hit that like button. It really does. I gotta remind YouTube that I'm here. They are not distributing things out.
How's it going, guys? It is a special Saturday edition of Nick Rekieta, Balldo, Leisure Suit Larry. I don't know what to call this. We're going to do some fit checks. We're going to have some giggles. But, first what we're going to do is we're going to crack open a nice whiskey highball because it is Saturday. And, the best thing about a whiskey highball is knowing that Nick Rekieta can't have one for the next 4 to 5 years. Maybe longer. Who knows? Let's see. A lot of head on that, though. All right, guys. So what happened? What happened today? So we had the HRO, as I'm calling it, the HRO hearing today between Nick Rekieta, Aaron Imholte, Steel Toe, or Double A Aaron, or whatever people are calling him. And I believe Melton was also supposed to have his hearing today as well. However, Nick's lawyer, Francis White, seems to be the most ill-prepared, incompetent attorney that I have ever seen, which is probably why Nick hired him, because he's just using him as a mouthpiece to put through his, frankly, ridiculous motions and things like that. So they didn't really. It was a piss poor showing. Although I do think that they got a couple of W's, and I'm not going to lie. For example, Aaron submitting footage to Hackermania. It seems like a big tactical mistake on his part. Some other things like that. We're going to go through. I do have the whole hour, because I have to thank Nick Rekieta for recording all of this, as he was instructed not to. In fact, he got kicked out of the courtroom for allegedly recording. Now, did he actually record, or was it just an OBS watermark? We don't know, but that's the fun. The court seems to think that he was recording it, so who am I to judge? Actually, speaking of the judge, I quite like this judge. He seemed very professional, and he was very kind. He was very kind to Mr. White. In fact, he did his job for Mr. White a couple of times, and I have a few examples to show you tonight. So I feel like, and I want to temper expectations, because the running theory, and I agree with this theory, is that eventually this HRO, harassment restraining order, will be thrown out against Nick. So the question is, how long can Steel Toe keep it going for? I think that one of the reasons why it just seems kind of silly, like Aaron does have this, dissemination of images charges against Nick's wife. So Nick obviously has a vested interest in his wife, I guess, in name only, because of course she is banging everyone at hedonism too. But yeah, it's pretty reasonable for Nick to show up to her court cases and things like that, because he's, as far as we know, his wife, whatever. So the funny thing is, though, that for every single day that this restraining order is extended is an extra day that felts Nick. It's an extra day that felts Melton, because it inhibits their ability to make fun of him, and it also gives the opportunity for them to get in trouble by violating this restraining order. And Nick, in particular, as a person on probation, has a pretty bad penalty if he decides to violate a restraining order. So I believe this will be extended at least another month. It should have been thrown out in June. Unfortunately, Nick decided to play silly buggers quite a bit. So I can see this going through till October, maybe longer. And I wouldn't say it's a win for the toe, but I am going to say it's another win for the toe, because it's very funny to say. But I think my reading of this situation is, today nobody won, but Nick absolutely lost. Now, as we get into this, first we have to do the fit check. While you're liking the stream, give me a 1 through 10 on Nick's outfit. First of all, I mean, I could live with this suit. Why wearing glasses inside is one of the lamest things you can do. And these aren't even like blue blocking sunglasses or something. Like, he's just trying to look cool. He thought that today was his day. The only thing that this reminds, like, people are calling him Discount Bono. And this I can kind of agree with that, because this is it's kind of what a poor person thinks that rich people dress like. You know what I mean? But for me, this is just the Leisure Suit Larry, Nick arc, and who knows? Some people are calling him Hunter S. Thompson. I don't think so. Trucker Rob with a $2 says, Did you rent a fat guy yet? Not yet. Not from Debucati. We're going to look into that. And also, Fallen Hero, a member for 9 months. Thank you very much. All of the likes, all of the super chats, all of the comments. I appreciate them all on these extra Saturday streams. So how should we get into this? Maybe we should go through potentially criminal. Had a quick thing to say, about 8 minutes on illicit clips, of course. I would like that while I'm here. We could look at a few examples. I probably will go through the entirety, or at least summarize it, Last Right's post. Now, Last Right is on the Kiwi Farms. They posted about 4,000 words, which is, I mean, usually a page is like 300 words, right? So this is like a 10-page essay. He typed it up in like a couple of hours. Like, what a legend. I couldn't do that. But this is a long pamphlet about today's events. There's a couple of funny timestamps I have as well that I think we'll take out. Now, it is illegal to record this if you're in the court proceedings. If you're a witness to the court proceedings, if you were rebroadcasting it, that would be illegal. Now, for us, we don't have to worry about that, because since one of Nick's goons, or Nick himself, recorded this, they're the ones that committed the crime, and we enjoy journalistic protections because it's not illegal to present something that was obtained illegally. Now, an example of this is if you're, like a corporate espionage or something, leaking, whistleblowing, those sort of things, you give it to a journalist, even though it is illegal to steal and leak those secrets. When the journalist has it in their possession, they can publish it, because that's the freedom of information and speech that America does offer. So very interesting, very interesting. Balldo S. Thompson, that's a good way to say it too. Fallen Hero, also gifted 1 membership, and Homo S. Thompson from Bob Tude. Thank you very much. All right. But Nick Rekieta told me I could broadcast his documentary, or whatever it is. It's not against the law. There's a funny ones. There's a couple of funny ones though. Hold on, let me see. Let's go to 58. Let's go to 58, 55, I think is my timestamp for this one. Let's see. Oh wait, I got to make sure it's not muted. Surely, there we go.
Of the matter. Mr. White, do you agree witnesses are sequestered? So I think that order, itself requires that anybody who could be a potential witness. So obviously, Mr. Rekieta, Mr. Melton, Mr. Imholte can't be talking about the case.
That's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. Nick cannot talk about the case. Now, Nick was having to remove his X post today because he was live tweeting his own court proceedings. He then got censored, and he had to post, "I had been ordered not to comment on any pending litigation. Peace, y'all." Whenever Nick says "peace, y'all," you know that he's upset. So very funny indeed. Let's. But there's a funnier part here. I believe it's just after this part.
Do you have any objection to your client and Mr. Johnson's client, your clients and Mr. Johnson not discussing the facts related to this case?
Just a moment, Your Honor.
Thank you.
I believe it's right here.
And again, it'd be limited to the principal parties.
Yeah.
By the way, I would like to say that Brian L. Johnson, who is Aaron's attorney, seemed very prepared, very well put together, and I think he made Mr. White look like an absolute arsehole, an absolute retard, honestly. There's a really funny part when Mr. White says, "No, you didn't."
I'm not exactly sure how broad this would be.
Come on.
What exactly is Mr. Johnson asking for as far as the breadth of this is concerned?
That there be no social media posts or YouTube discussions regarding this matter pending the outcome.
Yeah, but how far is regarding this matter is the question I'm asking. Are we talking about what testimony has been offered? What evidence has been admitted? What are we talking about here? I need to know.
Excuse me, it's an all-inclusive request for everything that's been discussed today, all the evidence that has been provided, submitted, everything as a whole, that it not be discussed by the parties in any format whatsoever.
I think my client has been kicked off.
Yep, he is using a thing that we have determined is.
Here it is. They kicked Nick out of the courtroom because of his watermark on OBS
recording. So if he would like to be put back in, he needs to stop that.
All right.
Naughty, Nicky. If you want to be let back into court, you're going to have to play by the rules. And he doesn't like that. He got kicked. Kicked exclusive, only Nick Rekieta.
So that's my clerk talking about someone's client recording. I am going to put an order together. If the parties want to give me proposed orders, the oral order for now is you have to wait till Tuesday till I review any proposed orders. But for now, and until I find something else,
there we go. He got let in. He was seething.
No party to this hearing shall talk about anything that's happened on this hearing unless they're required in some other court hearing or with their attorneys. So no public posts, no social media, no discussion otherwise.
No.
Obviously, they can't control what followers or
that's true. They can't.
Other individuals that are just general members of the public.
Melton, he can't talk about the steel toe man. Does he have any other content that isn't about talking about kids or just Nick or Aaron?
Post, that's up to them. But obviously, I also don't want either party creating more evidence for the other party. We've already got
a good idea. Don't do that.
A lot of exhibits.
Now, Nick has already created more evidence, by the way.
So that's where it is now. Obviously, if we want to tailor that, the best case scenario would be the attorneys working together on that and putting a joint proposed order. Thank you.
I think that after this session, they went into a back room and they just asked them to stop being retarded and just work this out because this is absolutely nonsense. There was something else I was looking for. I wonder if it is here. Maybe I'll have to wait till people put up the transcript of it. It's a very funny message from somebody.
Trying to proceed.
The hearings are adjourned, and I will reach out to discuss next steps to both the attorneys. Thank you, everyone, for your patience today. Mr.
Oh, we got a news from Scott, BBC News to everyone. Back Ethan Van Sciver, Frog Meets World on Indiegogo. Thank you, BBC News.
Mr. Johnson or Mr. White, anything additional today?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. White, go ahead.
I would like 5379 to proceed if possible.
I think the judge actually mentions this as well, which is very funny.
5504, Mr. Melton's case is difficult because he's in Las Vegas, Nevada.
By the way, Mr. White, this is Mr. White. This is Nick's terrible attorney, who we think that Nick only hired him because he's so useless. Nick can write the things for him, and he just does what Nick says. He has no backbone, apparently. He was like objecting to everything in some ridiculous cases. One of them was very funny, where he asked Aaron a question, and then Aaron gives an answer, and he objects, and then the judge says, "Bro, you asked him to ask you how he knew. He was just answering." It was very, very, very disappointed.
But Mr. Rekieta is in Spicer, and I am more than willing to travel to Stearns County in order to appear in person, because I think this would have been more effective had we been in person.
This is a tell. This would have been more effective if we were in person, Judge. Yeah, because you did a shit job. That's why it'd be more effective, because you realize how much of a boomer you are.
All right. And I understand the technology makes it not as clear. I also note in the chat room, I'm kicking someone else out now too, who decided that it was a good idea that BBC World wanted to give us a shot.
Can we get some BBC World in the chat? Very good. Very good. Let's go to this one. Let's go to 37 minutes, I believe. Let's have a quick look. 37 minutes, around this time. Let's have a look. If this loads, this is from an archive site, so it might take a moment. If it's not working, BobTube says 36:35. 36:35. We'll try that. If it's not working, then we'll go into the other stuff while we wait for it to reboot. I'll give it a quick one here. Some people are also, this is being uploaded to YouTube by people as well. Let me see. 36:35. What did you say? 36:35. 36:35. Let's check this out. It starts there for context. Okay. This is a good part. One of my favorite parts, honestly. Come on, work you dog. Come on, you shit archive.org. Let me see. Well, while we're waiting for it to load, if it does indeed load, we might come back to it. There were some other funny parts in it. And in the beginning of the trial, they asked Aaron what Nick does, And he's like, well, I believe he's a part-time live streamer, something to that effect. Very funny. They asked him if he was good at stand-up, and he said, well, I wouldn't quit your day job. So there was a lot of like cross jury felting, or cross courtroom felting. Was very entertaining.
I'm worried he could.
All right, this is in context that Nick could go off the rails and murder Aaron, which he absolutely could, because I believe that this story will end with Nick wearing Aaron's face as he's going to skin Aaron alive and then wear him in some sort of bodysuit because he wants to be inside him and also be him at the same time.
Has he ever shown up at your house uninvited?
And he's been to my house multiple times.
That wasn't my question, Mr. Imholte. My question was...
He did appear at my house uninvited one time. I asked my ex-wife when she was moving some of her belongings from my garage
Here it is.
not to allow Nick Rekieta and another person to my house.
So he's saying another person because he can't legally talk about Kayla. I think in the context of a courtroom, it would be okay, but you may as well be covering your bases, right?
And she allowed those people to my house anyway.
How do you know that?
Because she told me she did.
Objection, that's hearsay.
You asked him how he knew it, and he answered, overruled.
No. Judge is base. I like this guy. He's good.
Okay. Your
Okay.
Honor,
Okay. Oh, okay. All right, let's go to 50 minutes. Let's go to 50 minutes for a bit of a chuckle. We're having the chuckles up first, then we'll go through the actual context. I think it's around here. This is probably the absolute best part. Again, if it loads, we'll have to wait and see. Objection. There was like, we honestly think that like Nick probably asked the judge, Mr. White to object to basically everything because he was objecting to so many ridiculous things, and the judge was being such good faith. He was giving Mr. White the answers to things. He was telling him how to do his job. He was like, well, like what I think you're trying to say is so and so. He's probably one of the most helpful, understanding judges that I've ever seen, and I think that he's doing this for a reason. I think that the judge is being so nice because this is, like I said, it's very unlikely that Aaron will prevail. But I think he's looking for any opportunity to fuck over Nick and Mr. White because they're being cunts the entire way. And this is, like, for example, they have denied Aaron's continuances or asked to not allow them 3 times in a row, which is just completely unreasonable. The first time you let it go. The second time, yeah, maybe you can appeal that, but or try and get it not deferred or something. But like they have been cunts the entire way. It doesn't look good. So while this is probably an easy win for Nick and Belton, honestly, I think the judge is giving him either any opportunity to fuck up, or he's just so disappointed in what this judge is bringing to the table, or what this what this lawyer is bringing to the table. Oh yeah, this archive link was working much better for me before.
No.
All right, 50 minutes. Let's see.
Those images. I do not know how those images were acquired.
okay. Do you know for a fact that it was Mr. Rekieta that pushed publish on those images?
Your Honor, we already had this this line of question.
No, you didn't.
No, you didn't.
Excuse me.
Go ahead, Mr. Johnson, with your objection.
Your Honor, we already had this line of questioning when Mr. White was asking my client about his ex-wife or anybody else having access to this information or releasing his private information. We did discuss this already.
No.
No. I think that might have to be a sound bar. That was just so good. That was so funny. There's a couple of other things. Let me see. Let's go to 25 minutes in. I think there was a good... I have to refresh this every time we move around.
So the difference
But around 25 minutes, I think, is when the judge is being really nice. He's being very nice to Mr. White. Let's take a look. And then we'll guess we'll put the jokes aside and we'll go through the actual serious stuff. Oh, dear. Aaron lied a few times under oath. It's possible. I don't know if he did or not. I mean, I wouldn't know what Aaron knows. But he definitely answered a lot of I do not recall to a few things. What do you mean in particular, out of curiosity? You might YouTube link. Well, if your YouTube link doesn't buffer, let me have it. But it probably won't be as needed once we get through this last one, unless there's something I really want to talk about.
No, I was called.
I can't.
All right, 25 minutes, I think, is my timestamp. 25 minutes. And let's see. It's all jokes. I mean, it is very funny. It is very funny to watch. I'll give you that. All right,
About whether or not he put in any proof.
All right, so here's the judge explaining the job to Mr. White because he seems to have a difficulty understanding.
You know there
Right.
might be proof. You say the proof isn't complete enough, and you're crossing him on the nature of what he hasn't yet put into evidence.
That is, but anticipating that he will. Okay, so
Your Honor, I object to that. You can't question with anticipation.
Yeah, you're. It's also not effective. You're attempting to impeach him by the fact that there's no video evidence. Yet you acknowledge that there's video evidence, and the goal is that I don't allow it in because it's not complete, even though you're talking about a small portion of it. So I'm going to let.
I mean, it's a good point. Good point by the judge. Maybe Mr. White should be paying attention.
Mr. Johnson try and prove up that foundation for that, so we don't lose track here, and then we can talk about what isn't complete, and you can cross-examine him if you want. Go ahead, Mr. Johnson.
Oh dear. There was maybe one more thing. Well, there's a couple of things. One of the funny things, I guess I'll stop skipping around the video and we'll go through and maybe come back to these sort of funny things later. But one of the really embarrassing things that happened is that they submitted a hyperlink as a piece of evidence. So instead of submitting the evidence of, and I believe the hyperlink was to a link of Aaron's show, they submitted the evidence was just the link. And he's like, well, I've got the link here for you. And it's like, well, objection. And the objection was that the evidence just showed a piece of paper with a hyperlink. That's the evidence. You can't just have these links. Okay, the evidence is the hyperlink, and the hyperlink doesn't tell you nothing except the location of the video. So it was very funny that they just didn't understand it. They were trying to play these gotchas and trying to use it to impeach Aaron's testimony. And they literally was like, I'm sorry, Your Honor, this is just a hyperlink. Why couldn't he just upload the video to YouTube? And he just couldn't answer it. It was just so fucking stupid. Anyway. So Last Ride had this great summary of events. Like I said, 4,000 words. So we'll go through it piece by piece. What I'll do is I'll put this over here so I can read it. And I'll put like a funny we'll put this funny picture. Maybe we'll put this one for a while so that you can see. All right, so here is the summary of today's events. And I'll skip some of these parts. But judge brings up a large number of people in the gallery, reminds everyone not to record, well, oopsie daisies, and wants to make sure there aren't any bots. Almost sounds like he's going to boot everyone or get us to say hi or something. All right, the first lady called in, and then they just have kind of the introductions. We'll skip over that. So the meet and confer, neither side prepared to agree to any stipulations, relevancy decisions, and cumulative decisions if needed. Brief highlights for exhibits likely required by the end of the hearing because of the sheer number of exhibits. And for an example of how many exhibits they had, they wanted to admit, I believe this was actually Aaron's side. They submitted 90 minutes of footage from Hackermania, and then Mr. White objected, and he's like, no, can we have the whole 3 fucking days? They wanted to just go through the whole fucking 3, like what? Obviously, they just want to use it to, like, they're not going to watch it day by day by day. But they're like, well, why don't you just upload the top? No, what are you talking about? All right. White interrupted, asked for witnesses. John DiCaprio. I believe John DiCaprio is the guy that clipped the. Oh, no ceiling cats. No ceiling cats. That's a good point. I got to put the ceiling cats on. Sorry, I haven't done this in a while. It's been a while. There we go. So I believe John DiCaprio is the guy that put together the clip of like 2 hours of Aaron talking about Nick or something that was very funny because after Aaron accused him of being harassed by Nick, and Nick then went and said, well, I'll show you harassment. And he paid $1,000 to someone to go collect all these videos of Aaron and then spend 4 hours watching online. Not a good move, I would say, but Nick thought it was pretty smart. But I believe it was John DiCaprio to be sequestered to prevent his testimony being tainted. Brian asked about the proceedings under prong 1 or 2, hesitates, checks, and says he believes they're proceeding under both. White confirms Nick is objecting to order in any form. Brian calls Aaron as a witness, sworn in, goes through the formalities. We were friends in a complicated relationship. What could that mean? Rampant drug use at Nick's home. Objection from relevance sustained. Aaron says this all led him to believing the relationship untenable for him to personally and as a father. Also, welcome to member status. FAC. Brian prompts Aaron for situation involving Nick being charged. Objection for relevance. Again, see, there's going to be a lot of objections as we go through this. Limited testimony allowed. Aaron talks about the cocaine and judge tells him how to focus on how the events affected his relationship. Aaron says he was approached by law enforcement to discuss what he knew based on their friendship, what he had witnessed that may be relevant to the investigation. My discussions with law enforcement relevant to the probable cause. Did Nick threaten you in any way? Yes. After relationship was ended, Nick went on a tirade against Aaron on Signal, told him he should do the world a favor and off himself. Exhibit 23 is then added, is the Signal screenshot. White does not know if he has this exhibit. Mr. White, you got to be more prepared than this, Boomer. Come on now. He wants it on Mendez, which is the Minnesota evidence uploading forum. Not forum, but, you know, the site or whatever. On screen to confirm, exhibits sent to opposing counsel in a confusing fashion, not numbered correctly. It is a bit weird as things go through. Mr. White says that the last one he has is T42. Exhibit 23 is T43. Boomer tech moment or deliberately not sharing everything? Good question. I would probably suggest the later because they are being gay and also very frustrating. The problem is that the parties have to share exhibits. Apparently, just submitting evidence to the court case on Mendez does not mean the opposing party has seen it. That's pretty silly, I think, honestly. You should be able to check everything, right? There's a 5-minute break room for Mr. White and Mr. Nick. Brian sent to fix permission issues. They're back in the room. Aaron says it was very jarring to have someone tell you to kill yourself. Made him feel worried and scared as to what lengths Nick would do with his anger. Judge asked him if there's a date on that testimony. Sent roughly April 11th on 2024, but can't confirm specific date. Says April 2024. Other message and tweets were referring to Aaron's death and or other forms of him offing himself or being dead. Now, do I think that Aaron is actually afraid of Nick? No, not really. Not really. But like, this is a very good thing for him to say, because you have to establish that you have some sort of fear or reasonable circumstance so that this restraining order can be issued. Now, Aaron has said, and I believe this was actually a very good argument by Aaron and Aaron's counsel, that they showed evidence of Aaron saying that he was not afraid of Nick in any shape, way, or form. And Aaron was humble enough to say, well, Your Honor, this is just a performance that I do on my show. It's a character. Of course, I'm going to say this to try and prevent people from trolling me, sort of thing. Basically putting on a brave front. I think that's a good argument. And honestly, a good response to what Mr. White was alleging when he was trying to prove that Aaron said he wasn't afraid of Nick. Now, do I think personally that Aaron is afraid of Nick? Not really. Not really. But Nick is a very unhinged individual who has been shown to take his anger out on those people that have slighted him, those that are weaker than him. And he does have a mysterious missing amount of weapons on his property. The rifles that fell into the lake that I guess he can't just find. Interesting. It'd be strange. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he had them stashed somewhere so that he could either use them to defend himself against the government or go on some sort of crazy rampage. And I believe the first part of that rampage would be going to Aaron's house, skinning him, wearing his face, and then going after all the judges and things like that, because he's shown that he wants to be violent against these people, like very strangely reminiscent of Ron Toye, if you would think about it a little bit. Let me see. Bob Tube with another 5 says, this is the first course. The main course is when Johnson asked P. Melton about his comments about Toe's kids and cup holder. Imagine Judge's face. Well, that's the thing, is that it's very strange that Mr. White is representing both Nick and Melton. It's kind of a conflict of interest, in my opinion, and it doesn't make a lot of sense strategically. There has been a rumor that perhaps Nick is paying for Francis White, for both of them, as some way to either endear Melton to him or control what is being done in both cases. I don't know. You'll have to be the judge for that yourself. But the idea that Nick could show up to Aaron's house with some weapons, I could see that 100%. I mean, he is unhinged. I mean, he himself leaked the story about potentially choke slamming his own child in a chiropractor's ward. All right, now where were we? All right. Let me see. A Twitter exchange with Nick and a random guy regarding why he still insists on talking about Aaron. Judge clarifies that the X is the website and knocks the X as in a jealous X. White says that he has T22 to 24. T13 was once again out of range of what can happen when somebody submits on it in Mendez. Doesn't click the bottom share button. It's a terrible system. Well, that's true. White says his exhibits were previously shared and revoked prior to his hearing this week. Says that it could have been Aaron's previous attorney. Says they uploaded new exhibits in the case / Melton case. Now, the actual, I don't know if, I'm sure they're going to mention it in a second, but the actual tweet that they're talking about is when someone asks Nick, why are you still going after him? And he says, because Aaron's not dead yet, which I believe you could take as a threat. Judge asked Brian to share his screen for exhibits in the future to mitigate the issue. Brian says he can't share his desktop. Judge says they didn't make a copy because they expected them to still be available. Let me see. What is this? Almost an anime type figurine with their hands over their face, over the top profile picture. Okay, so someone had an anime profile picture in the audience. Let me see. Objection under rule 10064 for incompleteness. We do not actually know who said the first part. Ask why Aaron does not include that in the exhibit. Johnson says it was the first part of Nick's thread and Aaron is mentioned in it. Judge asked if he thinks it's relevant because Aaron was mentioned in the harassment campaign. Judge overrules and says that Nick can offer the explanation later. Judge asks him if the term, because he isn't dead yet, is unique or provoked somehow. Says it can be explained later. Aaron says that seeing that post made it clear to him that Nick would not stop obsessively talking about him until he was dead. And I agree with that. What do you think, chat? Do you think that was a tacit threat or something against Mr. Imholte? I believe so. At least I believe that Nick thinks it's a threat. He feels powerful when he says these sort of things, in my opinion. Let me see. In his personal interpretation, seems very ominous and threatening. Aaron talks about how he can be observed, how he observed it, and the context of the thread. Objection for hearsay, sustained because the judge didn't care about that. Only the context of him observing Aaron says Nick also accepted his Google account accessed his Google account without consent and posted screenshots of his browser history. Objection, basis of knowledge. Overruled, no comment. Now, I watched this part a couple times because it's kind of interesting. So they bring up, and I'll skip past the Kiwi Farmers summary of this, and I'll just tell you how I interpreted it. They get into a point where Aaron talks about the accessing of his Google Drive. And obviously it was Nick who accessed the Google Drive because he posted a copy of Aaron's browser history to his own Twitter. Now, Aaron then said he verified that that was indeed his Google history. And that's the one where he's looking at, I guess, cuck porn or something, and then also reading Nick's thread. So the reason that Nick posted this was to own Aaron, which is very strange, but to expose that you've been infiltrating someone's PC for the sole purpose of winning against the toe. But that they go on a bit of an argument about how do you know that it was Nick who posted that? It's like, well, it's from his Twitter. I think it's pretty reasonable, and it is very reasonable. But what they're trying to do is they were trying to show that either Aaron, they're going to show that either April posted it or maybe somebody else, just to try and show, how do you know Nick accessed it? If they don't have to prove that Nick didn't do it, but that somebody else could have done it, to put this reasonable amount of doubt is what they were trying to establish. But I mean, I think it's fairly obvious that it was Nick that did it. Let me see. Pod Lucky with a 20, or I guess it's 200 checks. Nick, a plastic gangster from Candioho, aka the Nose Father. That's a good one. Let me see. What is this? I'm not scared of the law. I just want to do it this way. It's not because I'm in Japan. Like if I play this from beginning to start, it'll work fine. It's just if we skip around it. I just want to do it this way. Let me see. So Nick attended Hackermania with Melton. Nick disseminated pictures of Aaron topless in bed, bathroom to the public. He shared private texts with a live audience without his consent. May 2025. Now, I think this is probably the best part of Mr. White's argument. And that is, if you were being harassed and if you're afraid of these people, why would you submit this? He did like a promo where he's like the heel or something. He's roasting them while they're roasting him. Like, why would you participate in Hackermania if you're afraid of Nick and if you're afraid of these individuals and if you're being harassed? And I think that's actually a very good argument. Now, I don't buy Aaron's response to this. He said that he was contacted by somebody else who, spoiler alert, is Vito. Vito Giswaldi, the weirdo that works with Dick Masterson, whose comic was leaked and is very embarrassing, and he still has not produced the proper thing. Aaron's story in this is that he thought that Vito was going to use it for his own show, and he had no idea that his private messages were going to be leaked and that his private photos were going to be leaked. I don't think it's a very good argument. And if Aaron just had not done this, he had not engaged with the trolls, I think he would be in a much stronger position. So I feel like that was a bit of a W for Nick's camp, honestly, the fact that he actually participated in Hackermania. And it's embarrassing. It doesn't look good. There's all this gay shit that's going on. And I think that the judge kind of realizes that. It wasn't leaked. It dropped the digital version. What do you mean? What are you talking about? He dropped the digital version of what? Not sure. Let me see. Okay. There are rules of completeness objections. Established the entire video was uploaded to the court so that the court can review the entire video in the context. He says the 1 hour and 40 minutes is not full context. This is not objecting to the 20 minutes relevant portion. White wants everything from a 3-day long event, which is ridiculous. Submitted for relevance. Says he has an objection regarding context and he would later get them to talk. And this was overruled. Let's see. Johnson says he will share the video and ask the court clerk if he can share it because he still can't share his desktop. The entire point of Little Piggy is to embarrass the subject. Objection, speculation, overruled without comment. Release private messages in embarrassing nature. Aaron says that they admitted to the hacking of his Google account as well. And they did. Nick and Melton talked about this in their Discords. They talked about this on their own shows. It seems pretty clear that they know what they did. At least to me. But what do you guys think? Now, I don't think that Aaron will actually get the FBI involved. That's what he's been saying. I think that was kind of just, maybe he did contact them, but the reality is that I don't see that actually coming. Let me see. Judge asks how he knows this. Aaron says there are live streams. Aaron attended the hearing in person. There are people in the gallery. Cannot recall if Nick was in the gallery, but he was at the hearing and Aaron observed him at the hearing. Stearns County Courthouse, separate hearing, not involving Nick. Aaron says it was discussed and promoted on live streams and that he would be in court and that people should attend. Says dozens of people attended. Nick and Melton traveled around town to his hearings and live streamed together. Objection for hearsay. Judge asks him how he knows they were doing this. Aaron says he observed them on YouTube doing this and he installed cameras outside the courtroom posted on YouTube. I believe that this is a reference to when Melton said that he was going to use the 360 camera outside the courtroom, kind of to prove that they were showing up to just record him and then further harass him. And they absolutely are. I mean, that's their entire stick. I don't think anyone disagrees with that. However, it is kind of stupid to use a 360 camera because those cameras have really terrible, they've got very good field of vision, like basically the entire field of vision, but they have terrible detail and image quality. So it's not good if you want to actually record like somebody coming out of a courtroom. You want like a telephoto for that, not a wide angle. But that's just kind of like a little bit of camera autism from me. But I believe it was raining, so they didn't use it anyway. But a lot of those cameras are actually waterproof, so I don't know what actually happened there. Whether or not, I don't believe it was ever released either. This is when they then went to Stoney's and then went to, what was it? The judge, not judge, the Scott, the court, the trainer, the gym guy, the boxing guy. That's it. My brain's a bit slow today. You'll have to forgive me. All right. Let's see. The bailiff then brought him back to the entrance to avoid them. Nick was then not in the crowd, but was traveling with Mr. Melton. Parts of the crowd beforehand documented, gathered at a business that advertises on Aaron's program. That's Stoney's in Rockville, Minnesota. But apparently they say Broadway in Rockville. I'm not sure about that. Thrown out by the owner. That is Cheeto. Objection. Basis of knowledge is hearsay. Judge says that he's allowing it to get to the relevant point so it can be determined if there's actual hearsay. Aaron says this was all after May 25 threats and that it made him feel threatened, intimidated, harassed, stalked. Seeing Nick at the hearing, he says it felt nefarious. Now, this is a good argument, I think, for Aaron to make. But realistically, do you guys think, like, if you think it's ridiculous for Nick to be at the trial, press 1. And if you think it's reasonable, press 2. I think it's reasonable. And I hate to say this, but I mean, it is his wife, allegedly. a name only, whatever. Maybe not for much longer, we don't know. But I mean, it's kind of reasonable for him to be there. Melton being there, on the other hand, is a whole different kettle of fish. Like, Melton traveling all the way to Minnesota when his entire job is based around talking about Aaron, that's absolutely unhinged behavior. What about P Melt? That's what we're talking about. If you mean what about P Melt in the context that, like, what about happened when he wasn't brought on the stand today? They ran out of time. They thought that today everything would be wrapped up. They would take like an hour to finish both Nick and Patrick, but they got rescheduled. And it's going to be an in-person hearing because they don't want BBC World showing up in the chat and advertising Ethan Van Sciver's new comic. All right, let me see. So Reese Stoney's. He says he knows about it because the owner of the bar and social media told him about it. Objection, hearsay. Some retard in chat called Jesse Powell Stroud as says, nice plug, says it's the equivalent of yelling out in person. And in the case that bailiff would remove you, user has been removed from the call. Aww. The thing about that, like, there's so many retards in the Dabbleverse that show up and try and do these sort of things. Don't disrupt the court proceedings. While it is very funny, and I understand there's a certain amount of irony in me talking about it because it's funny, but just leave these people alone. They're just trying to do their fucking jobs. Okay, stop trying to shill BBC World or Stoney's or whatever. Aaron confirms that multiple people with Nick posted pictures of them at Stoney's with Nick, and then he indeed was there. And that, Your Honor, it's all hearsay, nothing in evidence, but Aaron says he saw a photo of many of the people at the courtroom with Nick and the bar together. Objection. Hearsay, sustained. Submissions subject to credibility test. Also saw a video of them going to the gym that Aaron was a member of and talking to the owner to try and get information about him. Objection and basis of knowledge. Now, as I recall when I was watching this part of the video, they were trying to prove that it wasn't unreasonable for them to go to Stoney's. But what was the motivation for Nick and Melton to go to Stoney's and also the gym? Obviously, it's to get stuff that would embarrass Aaron. They're not reasonably going to Stoney's because they want the ultimate Bloody Mary. They're not going to the gym to work out. You've seen Nick, he has no arms. You've seen Melton, he has all fat. Now, Mr. White tried to prove that it was like very reasonable for them to go there. Like maybe Nick goes there all the time. You don't know, but not really, because the only times he ever went there was with Aaron. In fact, he didn't even have a membership. He would only pay for like a day pass. So he went there maybe 6 times. And they absolutely were going there to collect material that they could then use to futurely harass him in the future. I think the thing, like, it's like also obvious. It's so frustrating because, you know, it's just they have to go through all of these like hoops and fucking obstacles. But it's pretty obvious what they're doing. But I mean, you can't just say to the judge, look, it's pretty obvious. You have to go through these sort of steps. Yes, they're in peak physical condition. He also has a hunchback. Is that true? Who, Nick or Nick? Does Nick have a hunchback? Not sure. Not sure. He believes that Melton visited other places. I believe they went to, I think Nick took him on a dinner tour. I think that Nick said he had 3 dinners that night. I know that Melton had at least 3 dinners every night. But like, I believe they went to 3 different places where they did coke together. And Nick was giving him the special 3 triple dinner date thing. So that's a bit weird, but they did go to various other places apart from Stoney's and the gym. Let me see. On February 28th, episode of Melton's program, a detailed breakdown of how Nick believes Aaron's genitals look. There was a lot of talk about the dicks. Very strange, but it is what it is. Yes, they talked about Aaron's schlong. Apparently, it's like the, what are they people calling it? The putt-putt golf or something? I don't know. It kickstand, something like that. I don't know. But Aaron's dick is literally now part of the judicial system. So congratulations, Minnesota. Like, what the fuck is actually going on? Like, can someone actually tell me what is going on in Minnesota? I'm really getting pissed off with Minnesota. Like, not just because of Nick and Aaron, because a lot of stuff. Let me see. On the case continues with 400 votes. 11% said it's a total border victory. 46% said it's another win for the toe. 30% say everyone here is an HRO. And there you go. I'm going to ask you a question. I asked this earlier when I was playing some video games. But if you could nuke one state, what's it going to be? Minnesota or California? I don't know. Like, there's so much bullshit coming out of Minnesota. I think I'm leaning towards the latter there. But we'll put a poll at that, and a lot of people don't like Cali. Professor Tie-Dye says, as a former social worker in Minnesota, I lean towards the judge granting a limited HRO or mutual HRO being a domestic dispute as they have a former romantic relationship. Like the teacher saying, stay apart. That's actually very funny. Maybe Aaron should lean into that. You know, like if Aaron is saying it's a friendship and it's a bit quirky or whatever, maybe not so likely to be granted. But like if he says, if Aaron can go full homo as the legal defense, which is very funny. He can just say, Your Honor, Nick and I were full-blown homos, and as a battered partner, I am concerned that Nick is going to beat me like he beats other people that he loves in his life. Scorned lover. I mean, that would be like the kamikaze move, right? You're gonna like. I think Aaron has to do that. He has to jump on a grenade to take out Nick as well, or like, I guess hit him both with the grenade. I don't know. That's kind of an interesting strategy. But yeah, thank you for the super chat. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. All right, where were we? Well, White suddenly interrupts. Objection under rule to complete list. Unlike previous 1/3-day festival, we are talking about a show with a small segment taken out of it. Objection to the rest of the show not being provided for context. Judge asks if there's anything related to Aaron or other discussion of genitals, etc. in the rest of the show. How much time did you talk about Mr. Imholte's dick? Compares it to a news show where each segment is standalone. There is no great list of genitalia discussion, White says. The rest of the show provides more context to the relationship as a whole. Judge asked if the people in this video discussed the relationship between Nick and Aaron and why he might have observed him naked outside of this session. Then clarifies and asks what the rest of the missing context is that isn't in the clip. White says it's context about how the relationship deteriorated. Oh, how sad. And how the entire group was in the nude. Incredibly funny hearing the judge ask Mr. Johnson for his opinion on the penis discussion context. Johnson says the story has no... Also, Johnson, I think his name is very funny as well. Has no context and was brought up as a spur of the moment. No supporting footage affects the conduct involved. Oh, so there's... Unfortunately, I guess for specifically Aaron and Melton, the dick pics were not submitted into evidence. So they'll just have to use their imagination. Although Nick can use his, his mouth's memory. Aaron says he was contacted by Nick after the initial restraining order, notifications of his phone saying Nick was tweeting at him, participating in tweets referencing him. This is true. Received a text from Nick containing a Samsung link of some kind. Nick mentioned him multiple times on stream. Objection for outside four corners of petition. Johnson says it shows habitual conduct that prior existed to him after the HRO was granted. Says that Nick feels he is somewhat above the law. This is absolutely true, and I agree with it. White objects and says counsel is now testifying to Nick's mental state. I could testify to Nick's mental state. It's not very good. He's unhinged. He's sad. He's broke. He's a homo. There's all these sort of things you can talk about his mental state. And but of all these things, many of which are just, throwing a couple of jokes at him, he's absolutely obsessed with things. He does not let things go. Aaron leaving the polycule is literally worse than that time that the teacher took away his transformers when he was a child. He never forgets, he never forgives, and he'll use all of his resources to try and destroy people's lives, which is what he's trying to do here. Let's see. The petition arrest reserves right to call rebuttal witnesses. White says he wants to cross-examine, but first needs a bathroom break. They have a 10-minute break. Cross-examination begins. What do you do for a living, Mr. Aaron? Broadcaster, internet talk show, asks if he considers himself a journalist. Says talk show host would be more accurate. Objection. And this is kind of where the video begins. So there is not the entire segment was recorded. Just 1 hour or so of it. Objection asked and answered overruled. Says he considers himself in the entertainment business. Ask what he considers Nick to say. Says it's complicated. Attorney plus streamer. Part-time journalist? Stand-up... Well, actually, what he said, I believe, is that they asked him if... I think he said that he was a part-time streamer. He did these stand-up comedy in Minnesota, which is how they met. Rekieta was a participant, guest set, attempted stand-up comedy for the first time. Objection for relevance. Judge says he's giving leeway. Overruled. Aaron says stand-up should not be Nick's profession. That's true. Very, very true. Relationship deteriorated in April 2024. Specific date and on or around April 11th. Communication with law enforcement regarding Nick. After the deterioration in relationship, Nick was arrested before Aaron was contacted by law enforcement. I think that was that Officer Jim Feltz that contacted him, or was it somebody else? Aaron was called by, Pomplum. That was Pomplum. I forgot about him, yes. After the arrest, Aaron asked to talk about April, ex-wife. It's a complicated relationship with Nick and Aaron. General relationship deterioration credited to all of it. Regarding access to the Google account, Nick tweeted a screenshot of Aaron's browser history. We read that. We kind of go this, but this kind of like goes back and forth. So we'll skip this part about the phone. It's like it gets really annoying, and basically the judge is like, "All right, move along. This is ridiculous. Just stop it." So the judge gets visibly frustrated about this. In my opinion. Let me see. Another court case. Objection to relevance. Victim is in a case with Nick's wife. Nick's wife is not party to these proceedings and outside of the scope. White says it's relevant because Nick was attending the hearing because his wife was the victim. And I think this is reasonable. Like, even though Nick absolutely went just to see Aaron one more time because he misses the way he smells, it is reasonable for a husband to go to his wife's court hearing. If I'm going to do this, I'm going to have to do the voices. I don't think that's happening tonight. I don't think we're doing the voices. Aaron says he provided a video package to a different host that's Vito at the Hackerverse event. Did not have final control over how it was used. I kind of feel like Aaron was lying here. I think he knew what was going to be used. Maybe they didn't know they were going to share his DMs. I think it's pretty reasonable to assume that they would, and that they were going to use everything they could to embarrass him. They mailed a fucking fridge. They mailed the fucking fridge down from Minnesota to show him. And the fridge is like a monument to Nick being cuckolded. So I don't know why he would present that. I guess he does have a humiliation fetish or something. They've got the stuff about the gym. I kind of talked about already. Did Nick ever tell you what he was... Did you ever tell Nick what he was doing was unwanted? Objection vague, referring to time specifically related to what he is doing now, claiming as harassment. Post deterioration. Aaron says he did not contact him because he reported the Google incident to law enforcement and felt it would not be appropriate to do so. White asked if Aaron responded to the "if he was dead" post. White says, "You cannot testify. You told him to stop." Now, this is an important point. I feel like this is a good thing for them to bring up. Like, this is one of the few things I think Mr. White did correctly, is that they kind of pointed this out. But it is kind of reasonable for Aaron to say, he's like, well, I reported him to the police. I didn't want to talk to him any further. I can kind of see that both sides in this one, honestly. Aaron says he wasn't going to reply to someone wishing his death. Aaron told Nick he was cutting off the relationship entirely during that signal exchange, and the response to the signal was tied to that. I kind of, I guess you could interpret that as like a fuck you or something. But unfortunately, it's not like there's not a very clear fuck you, leave me alone, you're harassing me sort of thing. If he had that, like if you say to someone to stop and then you keep doing it, that's a really easy way to keep the harassment claim going. White asked if he explicitly told Nick to stop during this. Aaron says that personally he knew he crossed the line if he told someone to kill themselves. This is kind of a funny part of the thing, because they kept asking Aaron, it's like, have you ever asked someone if they would kill themselves? And Aaron's just like, well, I mean, I would be embarrassed if I did that. And he's like, well, did you do it? It's like, well, I know it would be beyond the bounds. But I think it's pretty obvious that Aaron has said this at some point. I think we all have. Like, it's fair enough. After the hearing in June, did you go to Stoney's? No. Did you go to the gym after the hearing? No. Where were you? For an hour in Stearns County bail. I posted bail. Then I went home. Objection relevant sustained. White says it's relevant because they know what Aaron was doing. I really hate this argument by Nick. They're like, well, we saw Aaron get arrested, so clearly we could go to Stoney's, and there was no chance of him seeing there. They don't know how long he's going to be in there. They don't know if he's going to post bail. This was ridiculous. And if Nick and Kayla are really afraid of Aaron, why would they take Kayla, because she was there, why would they take her to Stoney's? Now, maybe Aaron can't bring this up because he's not allowed to talk about it. I don't know. But if you were terrified of a man, and you were trying to prove that he was a bad man, he disseminated your images, you need to have a restraining order against him, why would you go to a place that he's a part owner? Why would you go to Stoney's at all? Just for the meme? Doesn't make a lot of sense. If Kayla's terrified of Aaron, don't take her to Stoney's. Don't take her to the gym. It's ridiculous. But of course, it's not about being terrified of Aaron. It's about trying to destroy his life, and it's about trying to get another win over the toe. Although he's... I don't know if he's had any wins yet. I guess they've got this the revenge porn cases about it, but it's not much. Let me see. Aaron, are you afraid of Nick? Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Now, I don't think he's afraid of him. I don't know. I haven't talked to Aaron about this, but I assume he just has. This is just one of those things you say. It's like if you get into a self-defense case and you shoot someone, heaven forbid, and they ask you were you afraid, and there was that guy that was like, I wasn't afraid. I had my gun. Guilty. You have to say you were afraid for your life. That's what it's just something you have to say. You just have to say it. Play the clip. Nah, you play the clip. Do your own stream and do the clip. I'm going to do it my way. When did you become afraid of Mr. Rekieta? After the arrest, after a pattern of behavior emerged that wasn't stopping and showed him he wanted some form of vengeance. Multiple references to my death. Nick has a documented history of drug and alcohol abuse. Objection, court, overruled. Judge says it's reasonable context, overruled. And tell me why it affected you. Aaron says he's worried about the erratic behavior, impulse, and act on vengeance that could put him and his family in danger. When did Nick allegedly send you the messages telling you to kill yourself? April 2024. When did he send that X post? Not dead yet. May 10th. Aaron allegedly said on May 27th, I'm not afraid of him. I mean, this is just bravado, though. Aaron says he's not afraid of him in the context of a physical contest because he is worried about Nick showing up his house unannounced when he's not prepared already. So this is kind of like, I feel like this is kind of cope. I feel like if you want to get this granted, you just have to go all the way in. You have to say, look, he could show up behind me, hit me with a bat. Maybe he could beat me in a fight. But Aaron's kind of like, well, I'm pretty sure I could beat him in a fight still. He's kind of weak. And to be honest, I agree. I think that Aaron would win in a fist fight because not necessarily because of Aaron's own skill, but because of Nick having no muscle mass and, I don't know, the constitution of a child, I suppose. Worried about Nick acting impulsively and erratically, which he does do. Aaron says Nick appeared at his house uninvited one time. And I believe I showed you that at the beginning of the stream. Aaron does not recall a statement. Kick him up. So Mr. White asked him, this is when they have the problem with the link. Statement of attorney saying he's not afraid of Rekieta, the above. Objection counsel is testifying. Johnson says he's not only been provided with a link and not the actual video. White says Aaron, on information and belief, has prevented people from downloading the video. I don't think so. This is a bold-faced lie. Like, he's like, I think he deleted the video. I don't think so. I think that link is still up. I'm not sure, unless Aaron's been hiding videos, which I don't think he does. Let's see. Aaron he wants to use it to show Aaron impeaching his testimony. Aaron has provided the context for the statement that makes sense at the service level, at least. So this seems wrong. Very easy to argue all of this as bravado in a public setting and fighting demons internally. Aaron does not recall the statement, kick him upside down and sideways. This is a funny part, and I might actually show the clip for this part, even though I'm behind that kind of being obtuse. I will show this part. I will show this part because this is funny, and it gives me an opportunity to. So we want to go to, I believe this is at 39 minutes. So we'll go to 39 minutes. Let's see. Nick looks bizarre. I'd say that Nick just looks like he's trying to look like he has money, or he's trying to look like he's tough.
Download it. It is.
So this is when they submit a piece of paper with a hyperlink instead of the actual evidence.
It is, however, live on YouTube, or at least it was a moment ago. And it shows Mr. Imholte impeaching his testimony right here. I think it's very probative, and I believe the court needs to see it, even in the context of referring to a hyperlink.
Your Honor, we don't know what's on that video. There's nothing been established that my client has actually deleted the video, that counsel's speculating. And so again, I submit to the court that the only thing we have right now is a piece of paper with a hyperlink that has no additional information regarding what that video may or may contain, whether that link even goes to a video now or in the past.
Your Honor,
Go ahead.
I'm suggesting that it's been deleted.
All right. So the exhibit you're offering is a hyperlink. That exhibit has no.
Does anyone actually have the link to this stream? I'm kind of curious if Mr. White has just boldface lied here.
Relevance, because it only tells me what the hyperlink is. If there's another exhibit if there's another exhibit that says this, you can introduce it. Otherwise, you can ask him questions.
All right, Your Honor. Mr. Imholte, did you not admit that you would, and on May 27th,
He just looks like terrible in the courtroom.
after both the event in Las Vegas
True.
and
True.
the alleged Twitter post, that you were not afraid of Mr. Rekieta and would, in fact, did not need an HRO and would kick him upside down and sideways, I'm paraphrasing, should he ever confront you?
I don't recall that.
You don't recall stating?
I mean, this looks so bad. It's like, well, if they had like if it's like, well, Your Honor, if we had the link to show you, we could show, but we don't have it.
That you were not afraid of Mr. Rekieta.
I do not recall in the context you're talking about. And the up, down, and sideways, I don't recall that either.
I was paraphrasing.
I will take special note of him looking through his notes here, shuffling his legal paper. And look at Big Boy. Look at Big Boy in the background. He's making the white person face.
You testified that that Mr. Rekieta traveled to.
All right, that's the point. That's the point I wanted to show you. This is like an elementary mistake as well. You never want to give the control of the narrative to the person you're questioning, and that's what they did here. He threw it over. Really big mistake there. He's big. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. All right, let's see. Aaron says that the events of Hackermania photos disseminated bothered him greatly, violation of his privacy. Aaron allegedly said days after Hackermania that he wasn't bothered by it. It's bravado. Exhibit 50, urine and baby oil day one of the Diddy trial. Oh, that's the name of the steel toe show. Aaron says he remembered saying on his program that the trolls didn't bother him and that he was engaging in legal action behind the scenes, makes the distinction between public persona and program and his private feelings on the matter. This is actually really funny because this is a very reasonable thing to say. It's a very normal thing to say, but the toe logs are taking this as an admission that, like, he's scared, he's terrified, he's bothered. Yeah, of course he's fucking bothered by it. Like, but when it comes, like, push comes to shove, you just admit this stuff. Like, yeah, it bothered me, sure. I was just saying this because it's my job. It's pretty reasonable. It makes him look really normal. That's the thing here, is that Nick shows up dressed like this with his joke. I'm the Joker, baby. Smirking, and I can't show you the smirking because it's too small on the screen. Okay. But he shows up looking like an absolute knob, laughing, giggling, tweeting. Then he gets kicked out, and Aaron just looks like a normal dude. It's like, I don't remember what that show is. What is it? Shit, it's on the tip of my tongue. No, I think it's actually Seinfeld. I think it's Seinfeld. There's a scene in Seinfeld where I think it's actually the last two episodes, like the finale of Seinfeld, where their lawyer asked George to put on a cardigan because it makes him look less threatening. And you absolutely want to do that. Like, it may seem silly, but you want to show up as non-threatening. Like, if you're a victim, you want to look meek, you want to look terrified, you want to look like you're having a bad time. If Nick wants to pretend that he's not some abrasive, brash, rich, spoiled child, then maybe he shouldn't dress up as one. Seinfeld is Jewish. I'm aware of this. The name is called Seinfeld. Yes, of course. You'd think they would know something about lawyers then, right? Strong patron abatement fights? Nah, because people like patron abatement. Anyway, let me see. White says, wasn't Hackermania an online event? Aaron says that disseminating private media, but Hackermania was like a live event. Like, it wasn't online. It was a live event. I mean, I believe it was attended online as well, but like, there was a crowd for some reason. Aaron says disseminating private media of a person goes beyond the level of performance in his opinion. White says he's testified that Aaron's show is not connected to his real life. Aaron says the dissemination of private images is the issue, distinction between objecting to consent to show and this. Aaron says he does not know who took these images. Your Honor, we already had this line of questioning from Mr. Johnson. No, you didn't. When I played you that part at the beginning. Mr. White, judge sustained. Judge tells everyone to close this shit out and says there's 4 minutes left. White takes a break for 30 seconds. White asks Aaron about his concerns, re Nick commenting on his genitalia, and asks why he showed his genitalia to Nick. Because you have to show your dick to somebody when you're about to get it sucked. That's why he showed his dick to Nick. Because Nick was about to, I mean, look at those lips. Look at those lips. Anyway, White says this was already brought up. Judge says that's not the scope. Judge asks Aaron, let me see. Aaron says, no, never. Have you ever shown your genitalia to people outside of a complex relationship? No. Ask Aaron if he disseminated the private images of someone else on his show. This is objection because he's talking. Obviously, he did. Obviously, he did do this with the Kayla pics, but it sounds like they were trying to fishing for evidence here that they wanted to use to maybe bring up in a civil case. And Johnson says that there's a pending criminal matter regarding this. Pre-sentencing, feels safer to not answer. White says he can take the Fifth Amendment and that there will be a negative inference held from that. Johnson objects, saying that the issue is Nick's behavior toward Aaron, not Aaron's behavior, that White is trying to get information. I agree with this because, Aaron did a bad thing, but just because you do a bad thing, there's no well, you got to see my wife naked, so we get to show your dick to people. That doesn't exist, okay? There's no tit for tat. Just because someone else does something bad doesn't mean you get to do something bad. Pretty simple if you think about it. Let me see. Johnson objects and says the issue is Nick's behavior toward Aaron, not Aaron's behavior, that Mr. White is trying to get information to embarrass Aaron. Judge says that the other case is related to admission of content of his show, but says he does not feel that this defeats plaintiff's arguments on whether Nick could do the same. Informal scheduling conference. Pardon me. Informal scheduling conference with attorneys in Melton's case, blocking out the date to continue the hearing. It's going to be like a full day, essentially. So I think I can paraphrase the rest of this, although I do think it funny that Scott's BBC comes up here. They're going to need a whole day. They're going to block out a morning, an afternoon. It's going to be in person, so we might not get the good content that you wanted. I understand. It's very sad for people. Nick's Norwooded. I mean, that happens when you do a lot of substance abuse and stuff. Didn't Kiki's husband say Nick had gross bobs? Maybe. I don't know about that. Gino? I couldn't tell you. Nick Rekieta told me I could show my dick to the people. He's weird. He is weird, I will say that. So that's kind of basically all that happened. It wasn't really that much. Essentially, it was just very embarrassing by Mr. White. I was thinking let me see if there's a couple more clips I will show, though. That's kind of the breadth of the thing. They came in, they questioned Aaron. There was a bunch of nonsense. They went for about an hour. Then they decided to keep it going for another month, which means that Aaron has another month of holding this restraining order over Nick. Who won? Nobody won, but Nick lost. Every day that he has this restraining order against him, Nick is losing and Melton's losing too, because Melton can't talk about Aaron and Nick can't, he can't be bad. He can't go and threaten Aaron, or he can't troll Aaron. And if he does, he has a restraining order violation, and that could be a breach of his probation. So let me see. Substance abuse isn't the reason that you have Norwooded much. I don't know. It's just, I think in my case, it's genetic, but who can say? All right, where is it? I want to show you a picture of Mr. White again. Let me see. Where is my timestamp for this? Actually, let's see, 52, it looks like we want to see. I might have to refresh this. We'll see if it loads. About here. He can't keep getting away with it? Possibly. Another win for the toe. It kind of, I don't want to call it a win for the toe, but it basically is. Because it's a loss for the neck. And if it's a loss for neck, it's a win for the toe. Let him get away with a warning. Ultimately, I think that Nick and Melton will prevail. That's the basic theory that everyone has. I'll play Sean's summary of it at the end. Thank you for the extra stream. No worry. I wasn't planning to do any more for August, but I thought it'd be interesting. Feel like we're watching a humiliation ritual. It kind of feels like that. It was like everyone's talked about how bad Francis White is, and I thought it was just Nick being a dickhead or something, but actually Francis White seems like really incompetent. But appreciate it. Play another win for the toe. I don't have that clip ready, Max. I will upload it at some point. His name is Felted. That's true. What is this? I'm terrified of the toe logs. He can't say another win for the toe, even ironically. Fucking hell. All right, fine. We're doing it live. Where is it? I'll search my own profile and find Max saying it. How cringe. How very, very cringe. How long ago was this? This would have been like, here we go.
Another win.
Here's my official statement.
Another win for the toe.
There you go.
Another win for the toe.
It's another win for the toe. You happy?
Another win
happy?
for the toe.
There you go. I said it. Well, actually, Max said it. All right, this is the part. So this is urine and baby oil, which is the name of Aaron's show of that day. Is this muted or no? It's not. It's just silent at the moment. There we go.
Mr. Imholte?
Yep.
You testified earlier that you had some concerns about Mr. Rekieta commenting on your genitalia.
I had to show this part.
Why did you discuss or show your genitalia to Mr.
Another
Rekieta?
win for the toe.
I don't.
Objection, relevance?
They brought it up, Your Honor.
Sure, but they brought it up in the context that he didn't want to disseminate it.
I understand.
You have
I
a question?
understand that.
All right, I'll ask the only question that might be relevant. Mr.
This is so funny. The judge is just like, listen, I'm tired of this. I'll ask your questions for you. I'll ask the only relevant question, Mr. White. So it's so they've got their little kitty gloves on for him. It's crazy.
Imholte, was there ever any time where you during communications with Mr. Rekieta or anyone else involved in a complicated relationship you testified earlier, did you ever discuss disseminating information about your genitalia to other people outside that complicated relationship?
No, never.
Okay. Mr. White, do you have any other thing to impeach him on that said he saw?
No.
At the beginning of the trial, they argued about how to pronounce Nick's name. So the judge is confused.
Genitalia once? Okay.
No.
Thank you.
All right, this part here, you have to just look at Mr. White. He looks fucking rough. It's awful. He's suffering right now. This is like me trying to organize a stream. This is what I look like when I'm reading the comments.
Mr.
Instead
Imholte,
of
have
talking.
you yourself ever disseminated a private image of someone else on your show?
Objection, relevance.
See, like this guy just looks like this is the kind of lawyer you want. He's just like so fucking tired of this shit. It's just not relevant. Come on now.
Your Honor, Mr. Imholte is asking to be able to have it both ways. He wants to be able
He can answer that question overruled.
He wants it both ways, like he had both of Kayla's holes.
On your show.
Your Honor, there's a pending criminal matter.
What was that? Hold on a second. I guess it doesn't matter. I
think
think
that
it's
my
just someone's
client
profile
would
picture.
not be serving himself by answering that question.
And that's not post-sentencing.
I think that wasn't in the courtroom. I think this is the person that was stream recording. I think that wasn't a in-court sound effect, although it was kind of funny.
Not post-sentencing. Sentencing has yet to occur.
Your Honor, then the court, excuse me, the Mr. Imholte can take the Fifth Amendment, rely on his Fifth Amendment privilege, and the court can take a negative inference.
Your Honor, I'm going to object to this line of questioning. My client's behavior is not at issue here. What is at issue here is Mr. Rekieta's conduct towards my client, which is why my client filed the harassment restraining order. It's my belief that opposing counsel is trying to get this information to embarrass my client.
I will say, though, that Aaron looks a little bit like this dude's son. Like, like if you did something bad and you have your dad talk your way out of the problem and like you're looking there guilty I don't know. Like, it just kind of seems like that, doesn't it? It's maybe because Aaron is beardless or something. He just looks like a little boy here. And this is the dad. And he's just like, listen, these things happen. I understand. We just got to come on now. You know, it's like very, like, you see that, like this image in particular, it may be because Aaron is like scrunched up like this. I don't know. So we'll say that because they could be related. I don't know about that. Base Shaman says, sorry, I'm super late. Can you summarize the whole lawsuit is about? This is the homo restraining order between Nick and Melton and Aaron. They're trying to keep Nick and Melton away from touching his genitalia and sharing his goon pictures or some shit. But it's the long and short of it is that it was being deferred another month. So it's another month where Melton can't talk about it. It's another month where Nick has to seethe and cope and is too weak to stream, but even though it is just his part-time job.
And negatively impact his pending criminal case. That is
Mr. Johnson. So we're going to cut off for today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask the parties to consider the following stipulation pending the continue.
All right, there you go. Check the family photo on Discord. I'm not going to do that, BobTube. If people want to see it, they have to join the Discord as a member to the stream. That will get you access to that. I think what we're looking in for here, that's about all that I wanted to talk about today. A bit quick and easy, but this will probably be delayed until the end of September, at least October. And oh no, wait, we're going to go through a real lawyer's thoughts. So you can check this out on, we'll go through just quickly 8 minutes of what Sean had to say about this event while he was doing his based modeling stream. So we'll do that.
Would you dress up? Would you come to court dressed up like Bono? No.
Did people think he looks like Bono? Let's have a look. Hold on. Bono. I guess it's just the glasses, right? Let's see if I can find a. I guess kind of Bono-ish. It's like discount Bono, cheap Bono, yeah. It's mono. This is the closest picture I could find. Kind of. Like, I guess they are Bono glasses, kind of, yeah.
I'm not a fucking idiot. That was very ridiculous. I'm sure you guys all saw it, and I'm sure everybody's like, wait,
Bono
what the fuck was that?
Yes,
what did they see today? I don't know. I don't know what I saw. I don't know if you know what you saw, but yeah, whatever that was not good. Everett Scott says, did anybody hear Nick was dumb enough to tweet during the HRO hearing? Yes, because he's a fucking idiot. You know, when the court says don't do something, you know, and, well, by golly, I'm going to do it. It's like, yeah, that is a brilliant idea. Great way to piss off the court, but what do I know? I'm just a sandwich man. And remember, everything I say is wrong. So just keep that in mind, guys. Keep that in mind. Trust the balldo, man. Trust the balldo, man. That's my answer to you. Yeah, when Nick was bitching about his lawyer, I was not impressed with Frank White, you know, especially when I got off layback.
Okay, Chad. Be nice. How would we rate Frank White, Mr. White, out of 10? How would you rank him? 1 to 10. 10 being super lawyer, 1 being Nick Rekieta.
Back law. I came back over to the stream and I got to hear Frank White go, no, that's not true. It's like, wow. That was just a little weird. That was just so weird.
Funny and weird even.
Yeah, he got thrown out of court, but I don't think he, you know, I know people are like, oh my God, he recorded. I don't think he did. I think he just had a setup where like his OBS thing would be on when he turned on. I mean,
this is possible. I mean, Nick has shared out private documents with the tow logs in the past. So I could see it both ways. I don't see why you would use OBS to join a Zoom call, though. I mean, maybe he just uses OBS for everything. It is pretty dumb, though.
Nick was retarded enough to actually record it. So, I like I said, I don't know what happened there. I'm not going to speculate like that. I think whoever, you know, whatever boomer was operating the stuff there misunderstood what they saw. And
so specifically what happened is Nick had to turn off his camera. And when you turn off your camera when you're using OBS, it just has the OBS logo. So then the lady saw OBS, and OBS is a recording platform. So maybe she looked it up. Maybe someone notified her. I guess it's a reasonable decision to make, especially since Nick was live reporting throughout the entire thing. But then the question is, why would he be using OBS?
Yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that. Because that's what it sounds like to me happened with just some dumb boomer shit. So, but yeah, watching Frank White go, no, that's not true. It's like, that was
a good moment.
Hilarious. I don't know how as a grown man, especially as an attorney, like that is not, you know, you can sit there and say, Your Honor, that's not true, but you sit there and shut the fuck up. You don't just go run around going like, no, that was just horrible. That was that was horrible. That was absolutely horrible. Like, I mean, it's funny. It's funny and weird, but that was really just like, I don't know why they did it. So I don't know why he did it like that. I know if you talk to the Dabbleverse people, Nick scored 1 million home runs and Aaron scored none. I don't think, I think over at the end
Like, literally, like, people will call me biased. That's fine if you want to. I think I'm not really biased in this situation, but I think that Mr. White had 2 good arguments. But that's it.
day, I mean, I still think Aaron's got his work cut out for him. I still think it's probably not going to work. And yeah, we'll see. We shall see. We'll see what happens. Did he really get yeeted? Yeah, but I don't think they did that right. Whoever was like doing that panicked, or they were a little antsy because of all the people that were there. And in the meantime, people had been jerking around. And I'm sure they were well aware people were going to film and record. I think it's only a matter of time till they'll show up online. But yeah, the reason why they took him down, obviously because nothing happened from there. I think they even realized, okay, he probably didn't do what we think he did. So yeah, allegedly he got yeeted, but I don't really even know if that was true. So yeah, I mean,
he was kicked out, but it was just for a brief, like 30 seconds or something.
Oh,
and it was towards the end of the stream anyway.
Who knows? Who knows, really? I don't know. And I'm not going to, there's so much more to laugh at that, Nick's attorney kept on asking Aaron about his penis and why people were looking at his penis and why people had pictures of his penis. And, I mean, just in general, Frank White did such a cringe job. Like, that's enough stuff to look at, guys, and laugh about. Yeah, but ultimately, I don't know what's going to happen there. Like I said, do I still think the odds are not in his favor? Correct. But I will say I was very impressed with his attorney, making the most of what he's got. And the Knicks attorney, like, all they have to do is just basically they're up by like a touchdown. Like
even if Aaron loses this case, I think he should retain this lawyer for his future litigation, which is almost certainly going to come. Because I was very impressed by Aaron's lawyer.
Oops. You just have to play smart, Can look at it's like football, man. Look at the situation. Just play fucking zone. And instead, they decide to play man coverage, and they're hard-nosed right off the line. Like, I don't know why they did that. And now they're mad that Aaron's made a couple of fucking passes. So, this is Aaron's new attorney, right? Yes. It's funny that it's still going on. Well,
look, Mr. Johnson knows what he's doing.
The way Frank White was like, well, I'm not ready, and I didn't download the shit that was put up. And it's like, why wouldn't you get a hold of that stuff and just take a look at it? I mean, did you not fucking look at it? But I mean, remember, Nick keeps telling us how bad Frank White sucks at his job.
I think the reason why Frank White didn't really prepare for this is because Nick was running things behind the show, and he's using internet logic, where if you catch someone in their lives with the internet logic, you can just post a link. That's fine. But it doesn't really work in the courtroom. You don't just get to play random clips. You have to upload the clips prior.
So I'm really confused why Nick keeps using this guy.
Because he does what he says. That's why the only reason he uses this guy. It's because he can sit behind and do all the legal filings he wants and pretend that he's not, he's just, deferring to his own lawyer when he's just doing everything himself. Francis White must have been the cheapest guy that would just do anything for the pay job.
I mean, it's really confusing to me. Nick doesn't know what those coverages are, Aaron might. Yeah, well, I'm not talking to Nick. I'm talking to you guys in a way. Like I said, I'm trying to make this as an answer, an explanation of something you guys might understand. Like, this is to me what it looks like they're doing. I just don't understand how they're going about it. If I was Milton, I'd be really fucking worried if this is how Frank White performs with his cleats on.
This is a good point. Like, I still don't understand why Nick and Milton have the same lawyer. You gotta hate this idea. If you're Felton, right? You want to get back to just talking about Aaron 24/7, the 24/7, 7 days a week. Well, I guess that's kind of redundant to say that, but you just want to talk about Aaron, right? And make that sweet Aaron wine mums that coom to seeing the idea of Aaron being bad or something. You just want to keep talking about that, but now you can't for another month. You thought this would be finished today. It's not. Because I guess you took Nick's advice on who to get as a lawyer.
Because that was not impressive at all. Does Nick still stream? I don't know. I do think that was funny where Aaron's like, well, what does Nick do? And he's like, well, he's like part-time as a broadcaster. Like, that was a big, and there were some swipes there. There were some decent swipes.
Yeah, it was some fun.
All the time they took. I'm sure in those, I don't know what was said in those behind closed doors, but I'm really wondering if the magistrate was like, can you guys fucking settle for the love of God? He's like, just come to a fucking agreement. Kaz, you're saying it's been Keno. Yeah, well, I've not been impressed. I've not been impressed. Remember,
It was entertaining, but like the interest is so few and far between now. Like Nick found out the secret to not being talked about. It's just being boring. Unfortunately, he wasn't boring today. He was retarded, so there was something to talk about. But like, if Nick just stops being a dickhead, he stops trying to be a lightning rod for criticism, then nobody really cares what he does. He found the secret. Just don't be interesting, and he's doing it very well.
this is the team who brought you my watermark. This is the team who brought you the Frank's motion. This is the team who brought you that, good old cog was behind everything. So the HRO is still on. Yep. It's still on. It's still on the menu. The HRO is still in effect because the hearing's not over. So they're going to have to find a full day for Frank White, a full day for Aaron's attorney, and a full day, most importantly, for the court. Probably going to be a full day hearing. They're going to reserve a full day for the whole thing, given how today went. And that's going to take a while.
I've heard this theory.
But I will say, I
missed where
that was a big, and there were some swipes there. I'm sure the straight was like, can you guys fucking settle for the love of God? He's like, just come to a fucking agreement. Kaz, you're saying it's been Keno. Yeah, well, I've not been impressed. Remember, this is the team who brought you my watermark. This is the team who brought you the Frank's motion.
It's kind of ironic, though, that the watermark argument was actually made in the first place when Nick was now felted today for having the OBS watermark. I guess it's kind of a logo, but same difference.
This is the team who brought you that, good old cog was behind everything. So the HRO is still on. Yep. It's still on. It's still on the menu. The HRO is still in effect because the hearing's not over. So they're going to have to find a full day for Frank White, a full day for Aaron's attorney, and a full day, most importantly, for the court. Probably going to be a full day hearing. They're going to reserve a full day for the whole thing, given how today went. And that's going to take a while. JLR says, why won't he settle? Well, because Nick can't afford to lose this deal, Toby. Well, Nick can't afford to lose. Neither can Melton. Nick would stop.
Yeah, this is definitely a vendetta at this point. Nick's not going to give up for any reason. It doesn't matter how much of his mother's money he has to burn. He's going to stub the toe one of these days. I'll get you next time, Aaron.
It's over Aaron. I think so. Sure for him, Nick thinks he's the alpha, so he's entitled to win. So what are you saying as of right now, the toe wins again? He didn't lose, but to call that a win is not necessarily proper either. Right now, Aaron survived another day. We need a name for when we watch dumpster fires like this. Runkle has Pigeon Business and Emily Baker has Code Red. Yeah, I know. I like Emily Baker's, the way all the shit pops up on the screen. And it's Code Red. I don't know. Maybe you do TardCon 1 or something like that. That would be kind of funny. And I don't know. I need somebody who can put me in all those things in the 60s, military readiness and missiles launching and guns training. And
I haven't seen this. Does anyone know what this is about?
People running out the doors to the airplanes and shit. And it's TardCon 1. Yeah, that's what, yes, take us to TardCon 1. I think that would be the way to do it. I'm already in my head.
There you go. That was Bono's showing up today at court. Discount Bono showing up today in court. What's going to happen next? Well, Nick's going to be seething and unable to work. He's going through some tough times. He's sad. He can't work, unlike you who have to go to work even when you're sad and when you're sick and all sorts of things. Aaron's going to continue living his life, playing golf. Melton's going to continue being fat and lusting over children. And I guess we'll have to check in, in September or October to see where this goes next. Most likely Aaron loses this, but you never know. Minnesota, for some reason, is the most retarded state that I've ever seen. And you never know. You just never know what they can do. They reached into Mexico and pulled out Ethan Ralph. So if they can do that, who knows what they can do. Hope you guys have a nice weekend. I'm going to head off now and peace. Right, but not just yet. I've got to say, Robert Lawrence gifted 5 memberships. Welcome to the membership gang or whatever. I was going to play this song as well as we go out. So thank you very much as well for those 5. Here we go. Ball the way streaming tonight.
It's almost 11, and there's still no stream. And balldo ain't streaming tonight. It's almost 11, and there's still no stream. Balldo ain't streaming tonight. It's 1 minute past 11, and there's still no stream. Balldo ain't streaming tonight. It's 1 minute past 11, and there's still no stream. And Balldo ain't streaming tonight. It's already 11, and there's still no stream. And Balldo ain't streaming tonight. No longer 11, and there's still no stream.